In this video, I'm going to share with you an easy carnivore shopping list for people over the age of 40 because what foods you eat and you want to prioritize is going to be different when you're over 40 compared to when you're like 20, 25, 30 years old. So let's take a look at that. Now, I'm 51 years old and I've been using the same system of planning for my shopping list and my meals for about 3 years now, a little over 3 years on the carnivore diet. And I pretty much ate this way for 3 years. I've lost over 85 pounds. I've healed a bunch of different health things, including back pain, joint pain, snoring, mild depression, and so on and so on. AFib, big thing for me. It's a heart condition where your heart starts beating irregularly fast and then slows down and then fast and so forth. I had AFib episodes 2 to 3 times a week. That was 3 years ago. It's been 3 years since I've had a single episode with eating this way. Now, most of the time, I only shop about once every 3 to 4 weeks. I like to go to Costco and I'll go shopping there. I'll pretty much get all the food that I typically need, and then I won't go back shopping again for a few more weeks. Okay, so the first point here is to prioritize nutrient-dense food like beef and eggs, which are essential for vitamins like B12, iron, omega-3s, stuff like that, which is really important for us as we age. Okay, next, with being over 40, we need to support joint and skin health. And you want to include things like that are collagen-rich foods. So we're talking about things like bone broth, bone-in ribs, bone-in steaks, like, maybe ribeye with the bone in it, porterhouse steaks, that kind of stuff. Stuff that has like the bone in it, which is going to get you some of that collagen. Now, there are a bunch of different recipes. Give yourself some variety and so forth. And I have a free resource on some recipes that I have. They're tried and true for me. I pretty much use these recipes all the time, and it's a free resource. If you'd like to get access to that, then put recipes down in the comments below, and I'll get that sent out to you. There's some great recipes in here for some really good carnivore foods. So if you want that, just put recipes in the comments below and I'll send you a copy of it. All right, so the next thing is to look for simple, budget-friendly basics, right? People over 40 are juggling careers. They have families. There's just not a lot of time and money really tight. Money can be tight. Time can be tight. So you want to stick with cheap and simple meals. Eggs are a really big thing. Eggs are really affordable. So is ground beef. Very affordable and very easy to cook for busy lifestyles. So those are really big things. Chicken thighs with the skin on them are very affordable, and they're also very easy to cook, and they're really good for you because of having better fat content than most chicken with the skin on them and so forth. Now, all that said, there are some foods that you want to skip. Processed meats with additives. So we're talking about like sugar, dextrose. These things can be labeled as keto friendly or carnivore friendly and so forth, but you're not going to get your best bang for your buck. So for those of us that are over 40 and we're looking for, saving time, saving energy, saving money, we're going to try and stay away from those types of foods. We're going to stick with more of the foods that I've talked about here. So we're talking about like things like ground beef, steaks. Ribeye is great, but it's really expensive. So let's look at other options. For instance, I like to go to Costco. Like I said, New York strip is a cheaper alternative. It's not quite as good fat-wise, content-wise, but if you go there, you can get their big slabs of meat. That's the loin steaks, the big slab, and you keep the fat cap on it when you cut it into your individual steaks, and then you'll have a good amount of fat content in that New York strip steak that you eat, right? So that's another good one. But poor man's ribeye is really known as chuck roast, right? So chuck eye, chuck roast, those are really good options. They're cheaper. And even really like if you want to look at like sirloin, it's a much cheaper option for steak. And that, you know, if you add maybe a little bit of butter into it or something, you're going to get a better fat content with it. So that'll work. Looking at, you know, bone in type of things, like I said already, if you can get bone in steaks, sometimes you'll see stores have deals on your porterhouse, things like that. Beef ribs, they tend to be really good for that collagen that we want to get when we're over 40 years old, like, you know, like we are. Okay. When it comes to chicken, again, chicken thighs are the best with the skin on them. They have that better fat content. If you take the skin off, you can actually cook the skin separately too into crispy chicken skins. They are in that recipe book that I talked about, by the way. But that is a good, fairly inexpensive and fatty content food item that you can get. Um, so the other thing that I want to talk about is adding in some butter, and that pretty much makes your shopping list. You know, you get a good quality butter that basically is just your cream and salt, maybe, and that's it. You don't want anything that has additives in it, and that is gonna be good for cooking. Um, there's just so many different things you can do with it. You can add it on top afterwards instead of just like while you're cooking and so forth, and just plenty of different things you can use the butter for. So that's going to help with your fat content. Now, one thing I didn't talk about was pork. Let's go back to that really quick because pork is something that I think you can definitely do. And I would say maybe like pork belly is one of your better bets there for the higher fat content. Um, so that's probably one of the better options there. Plus, you can make your own bacon out of pork belly. Finally, if you're really into cheese or something like that, look for some hard cheeses that are fermented. So if you're looking for better gut health, right, this is something that I've been doing, looking to have a better gut health. I've been going with some harder cheese. I have some sharp cheddar cheese that I'll buy the block of, and I can, you know, cut it up or, you know, grate it, whatever I need to do. So I use that. Or you can get some yogurt, like some plain yogurt tends to turn out okay. Doesn't have a whole lot of sugar content to it or anything like that. Or you can even make your own yogurt. There are some recipes out there that you can make your own yogurt. Now, I know you might be saying, Brian, this is all great, but how do I know how much I should be eating each day? Well, I did a video on that subject and it's right over here. So if you want to go to the video next, go ahead and I'll see you in there.